What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to Politically Informed, where we give you political commentary from a completely independent point of view. We're not Democratic, we're not Republican, solely looking out for whatever's in the best interest of the American voter here. So today, on this clip, we're getting into other states that have been considering taking Donald Trump off the ballot and following the state of Colorado's lead. If you're not aware, Colorado removed Donald Trump from the ballot for the 2024 election, and that has caused a whole lot of talk in DC and throughout the country. And it's really crazy because yeah, a lot of people online right now that are chattering and saying that the same thing happened prior to the Civil War back in 1860 when Lincoln was elected. We're going to take a look at all of that. But before we do, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Let's get into this clip and I'll get back with you.
Colorado isn't the only state where former President Donald Trump could be barred from the ballot following the historic ruling there.
Now, he faces efforts to disqualify him from the ballot in multiple other states. In California, for example, the state's lieutenant governor called on Secretary of State Shirley Weber to look for every legal option to remove Trump from the ballot, citing the Colorado decision. Similar efforts are playing out in Maine as well.
CBS News campaign reporter Olivia Rinaldi joins us now. Olivia, walk us through the effort by the California lieutenant governor to try and remove Trump from the state's ballot. What's going on?
Lana and Errol, it's a very unusual situation that's going on in California right now. As you mentioned, she sent a letter to the Secretary of State asking her to look at all efforts, all possibilities in removing Trump from the ballot there. I want to read from the letter she sent. She said, California must stand on the right side of history, and the Constitution is clear. You must be 35 years old and not be an insurrectionist to be on the ballot in that state. She also mentioned that time is really up.
Now, that's kind of crazy that these left states are currently doing this. Now, I totally get that, Donald Trump is not everybody's favorite, well, a lot of people's favorite out here, but again, how I feel personally, we live in a democracy, and this is something that should be left up to the voters. Shouldn't be going out your way to keep him off of the ballot. In my opinion, you only making him stronger, honestly, by doing so, because you have other people looking now like, man, they are really going out of their way to try and keep this man out of office. And crazy part is like, man, why not just leave it up to the voters? Really? I mean, let people go to the ballot box and vote and cast their votes, and the people go to the ballot box and cast their votes for real. I mean, like, I don't see the charges, everything. Like, I mean, yo, Trump support amongst black voters has increased this go around. You want to know why? It's black people. So you got some black people out there like, damn, they treating him like a nigga. For real, that's like really what's going on right now, to be totally honest. Like, yo, he got all these charges, he got a charge, that state after him. Like, yo, like they're really only making him stronger by doing this. Like, and it's like how can you not see that at this point in time? Colorado, Lieutenant Governor of California, really.
Of the essence here. Even though the California primary is in March, the decision of who must be on the ballot for the primary must be made by December 28th. That's just next week. So time is really of the essence here for the Secretary of State to weigh in on whether or not Donald Trump should be on the ballot in that state and explore other efforts to take him off of it.
And what's interesting as you look at the different efforts from state to state is they're coming forward in different ways. So you had the lieutenant governor looking for an option in California, in Colorado. That was a case brought before the court. But the situation, I understand, is different in Maine. Why is that?
Yeah, the situation in Maine is also quite unusual here. You know, a lot of these lawsuits have been brought all around the country asking secretaries of state to really weigh in whether or not Donald Trump should appear on the ballot based on the 14th Amendment. And most of them had said it's not really up to them and they've left the courts to decide for it, but not in Maine. She's been having hearings on whether or not Donald Trump should appear on the ballot there. Of course, Team Trump has argued that it's not really up for a secretary of state to decide whether or not he should appear on.
Really not up to the Secretary of State. It's up to the people. And I think that's like where this country has gotten so far away from. Like, You're calling him an insurrectionist, but he hasn't been convicted of anything yet. And that's why I said, like, yo, they're treating him like a nigga. Like he hasn't been convicted of anything yet. So how can you go out your way to keep him off the ballot? Are y'all really that scared? For real? So that's what it's coming across as right now. You're scared, shaking in your boots. I don't know. What y'all think? Leave a comment below. Let me know what y'all think.
On the ballot. I do want to note that her decision was expected to come tomorrow, but now her office is saying that could come as soon as next week. But the hypothetical being here that if she says Trump should not be on the ballot in Maine, we can fully expect his team to file a lawsuit against that decision. And so it's going to play out in the courts anyways in Maine. But we will be watching for her decision.
Well, I want to ask you about the 2020 election case and special counsel Jack Smith.
I just came up with a theory. So she literally just said that, if they attempt to do this in Maine, obviously Trump's legal team is going to fight this in court. Trump's legal team is fighting cases all across the country right now. Yo, are they trying to bankrupt this man? Is that what it is right now? Is that is the strategy to bankrupt him and just file cases everywhere, have him fighting the case in this state and have him fighting the case in that state and then have him fighting the case in this state? And it's like, is that what the strategy is right now? Things that make you go, hmm.
He's urging the Supreme Court to act quickly on Trump's immunity claim in a new filing. Why does he want the High Court to act quickly on this particular question?
Right, of course, as you mentioned, Jack Smith just filed a brief response to the Supreme Court saying that it is in their utmost interest to take up the question of presidential immunity swiftly. In reading from that response, he said a prompt resolution in this case favors an immediate, definitive decision by this court. He also mentioned United States versus Nixon and saying that the stakes in this case are as high, if not higher. Given the expeditious response here, we can anticipate the Supreme Court will make a decision soon on whether or not they're going to take up that issue. But part of the reason here that Smith wants this to stay on the same timeline for the Supreme Court to take this up as quickly as he and other prosecutors have been gathering evidence about Trump's alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election. And they find it imperative that the American voters hear that new evidence before they decide to vote him back into office in 2024 if he is the GOP candidate. And by all means, it looks like he's going to be.
Yeah, an election that we will watch play out in the court. Olivia Rinaldi, great to see you joining us.
An election that we're going to watch play out in the courts. If you ask me currently right now, man, 2024 election is gearing up to be one for the record books. And in my personal opinion, whoever wins, whether it's Trump or Biden, those are the two current nominees. Like, those are two people who we're going to assume will be the nominees of each major party. Whoever wins, the other side's not going to accept it. So if Trump wins, the Democrats aren't going to accept it. If the Biden wins, the Republicans aren't going to accept it. The country is that divided right now. So pay attention. Make sure that you like, you subscribe, and we will tap in on another clip with that Abe Lincoln stuff that I was telling you about later.